For this video, we're going to be adding on to the idea of factoring, which is what we were doing last week. So today we're going to be talking about the greatest common factor. Now this may be something that you've heard before. We generally refer to this as GCF, just a little acronym, GCF. The greatest common factor is the number or variable that all terms in the expression can be divided by. It's a way of simplifying an expression or of factoring it, which is why we call it the greatest common factor. So let's look at a really easy one. Let's look at number 1. You see that we have the expression 2x plus 4. So I want you to look at that expression and see if you can determine if any of those numbers can be divided by the same thing. So can we divide 2 and 4 by the same number? And the answer is yes. Both of those numbers are divisible by 2. So what we're going to do is we are going to basically take the 2 out of the equation. We're going to divide both of our terms by 2 to see what we're left with. Well, 2x divided by 2 is x, and 4 divided by 2 is positive 4, or positive 2. What we've done is just what we've been doing before. We went backwards. If I were to multiply this back out, I'd be back where I started. 2x plus 4. So looking at the next one, well, I don't have a number that can be factored out of this one. There's nothing that is divisible, or there's nothing that I can divide 2 and 3 by, but I noticed something else. Both of these terms have at least one x in them. Now, I need to take out the most x's that I can from each equation, or from each term. I see that I have one x here, and I have two x's here. Well, I can't take two x's out of the second term, but I can take one x out of each of them. So I'm going to take an x, and I'm going to put it outside of the parentheses, and I'm going to divide each of these terms by x. Well, x squared divided by x, we're basically canceling out one of our x's. We're left with a 2x, and then 3x divided by x, my x's cancel out, and I'm left with a 3. Again, if I were to multiply this back out, I'd be back where I started. 2x squared plus 3x. All right, number 3 has a lot more going on. Looking at my numbers, the only number that I can divide out of all 3 of those is 3. Okay, 3 divides by 18. 18 divides by 3, negative 9 divides by 3, 3 divides by 3. I can't pick any numbers bigger because of that 3 right there. So I'm going to take out a 3. But that's not the only thing I can take out. I'm looking at this and I'm seeing, oh wait, they all have an x. So I can take 1x out of this 3x, and that's the least amount of x's I can take out. Yeah, I can't take out 3 from this term because I can't take out 3 from this one. Okay? You can only take out basically the smallest exponent. So I can take out 1x, and I'm left with, so we're going to divide this by 3x, divide this by 3x, and this by 3x. 18 divided by 3 is 6. X cubed divided by x is x squared. 9 divided by 3, or negative 9 divided by 3 is negative 3. X squared divided by x is x. 3x divided by 3x, that's 1. All right, let's look at one more. Before we start doing this, I can take out a 3 in this one, but I can't take out any x's. Okay, there's not an x in this term, so I can't take an x out at all. So I'm left with x squared plus 2x plus 3. All right, now, this says to factor completely. So what you should see is that these don't start with x squared. Okay, so the first thing that you need to check, or one of them doesn't start with x squared, but they don't start with a 1x squared. So the first thing you need to check is the greatest common factor. So I'm looking at this, and I know I can take a 2 out, and I'm left with x squared minus 6x plus 9. Oh, I can factor this. What times what equals 9? What plus what equals negative 6? That's negative 3 and negative 3. So I'm left with 2 on the outside, x minus 3, x minus 3. Over here, I can take a 3x out of this. So I divide by 3x. That leaves me with x squared plus 2x plus 1. Well, I can factor this, 2 numbers that multiply to give me 1, 2 numbers that add to give me 2. That's 1 and 1. So I get 3x, x plus 1, x plus 1. And that's it. Go to Google Classroom if you're not already there and answer the questions.